Welcome back to Leatherheads Footy. My name's Morgan, and round 6 ends in a thriller. Collingwood do it again, come back and beat the Bombers in an Anzac Day classic. The second highest home and away crowd ever. The G was absolutely pumping, but we don't care about any of that. We only care about the fantasy stats in the hope that one day we can win a hat with a numbering broidered on the side of it. If that's sad, then this is not the show for you. Getting into my round 5 trades, heading into round 6, I went Oliver Hollands to Matt Roberts. Oliver Hollands, I scored a 75, so I probably should have seen that coming, playing against St Kilda, give up heaps of uncontested possessions, particularly sort of marks in the back half, which is how Hollands scores most of his points. So I could have been a little bit smarter with that. Roberts unfortunately got injured on 19 against the Cats, but he was the best option, I think, and he was tracking pretty well until he got injured. So that was a good decision, bad luck. That was probably a bad decision, and I should have thought about it a little bit more. That gave me the cash to go Callahan up to Rory Laird. Pretty standard mid-pricer up to a primo, and Laird scored 120, which with a VC loophole I took as my captain. So overall, pretty happy with the trades. Maybe a little bit of oversight and underthought with the Hollands one. Didn't quite think that one through, and Roberts just a little bit unlucky, so that's something I'll have to fix up this week. Overall, 1972, good year. My parents tell me, I don't know, old people always just seem to say good year, even though I bet they can't even remember what happened in that specific year. Had a round ranking of 27,000 and an overall ranking of 14,000, basically 15,000. So my round rankings actually pushed out a little bit from 13,000 last week, but I was carrying Will Day and Tom Green on the bench, so that's to be expected. They'll come straight back into my team and take 2 rookies off the field. As I mentioned before, Nick Dacos, unbelievable. His second straight 40 possession game, and heard on the call, he's now had 3 30 possession 2-goal games, and that's only been done by one other player in the competition. So unbelievable in his second season. I went through sort of a partial round review earlier, a couple of days ago, so I'll just try and fly through this. Dacos, incredible, probably going to be the best player of all time, hyperbole maybe. Dawson, really good. The conditions didn't suit him down on that small ground in Hobart, so he'll be better, or Tasmania, not sure if it was Hobart. McGrath, very disappointing, actually played pretty well, but just not getting many marks. He dropped or missed a couple of marks, so his score could have been 77, which is pretty much what he's been doing all year. Ridley, similarly, a very high pressure game, not much uncontested marks. So that's probably what they're looking for a little bit more. But that being said, their time in my team will be done as soon as I can work out how to fix it. Jimby, a rookie, so he's performing really well, but another one that you don't want to be in your team any longer than he has to. Cowman had that good matchup against St Kilda, and he scored what would be close to his best score of the year, but he doesn't really have a high ceiling. He's just a slow burn at the moment on the bench. Day suspended. Wilmot, very disappointing. I know a few people copped him on field, so I was lucky to avoid that. I tried to have a look at a loophole, but obviously not going to take a 22 from him. Josh Kelly had a big game, 40 touches against the Lions, and he looks like he's in pretty good form and could potentially get back to his 110 days that he used to do for the Giants back around 2019. Matt Roberts touched on, got injured, unlucky. Cam Mackenzie looks like he's really slowing down. Not sure if the Hawks are putting a little bit more time, it seems like, into Newcomb and Warple in there, and Mackenzie seems to have been pushed out of that on-ball rotation, and that won't be helped when Will Day comes back into the team, so he's one that is on the chopping block as well. Setterfield couldn't quite get involved, but still very respectable 86, and it continues to be a pretty reliable player. Warple, another good game with Day out of the side, potentially due to those increased centre bounces. Him and Newcomb look like they're really getting going around the clearances. Hopefully that can keep up when Day comes back into the team. Laird looked like he was getting quite a lot of attention from Connor Nash from Hawthorn, but still, he's just a warrior. He works so hard. He's such a good team player, and I'm going to love having him in my team. I think 12 tackles, even though he wasn't getting his hands on the ball, he still managed that, but 12 tackles just shows his commitment to the cause. Ashcroft, a little bit down, but he's still going to be probably the best cash cow, or second best behind Sheasel, but best cash cow in the midfield. And then Philippou, that's got to be like he scored a 70 a little while ago, but he seems to be around that 50 mark. He does some nice things, but he seems to just get involved with handballs across half forward and not really getting any marks or tackles or those higher scoring involvements. Green suspended, comes back in, hopefully gets back to the form he was showing earlier in the year. Matthew Johnson, Brodie played this week, so he didn't get much of a look in at the centre bounces, playing more across half forward, but he still looks like a really good player, and I think is the future of that Fremantle midfield. I think in time he will push ahead of Will Brodie, who seems to be on the outer, judging from him getting omitted about 2 weeks ago. Tim English, incredible performance again, and just showing that he's going to be by far the best ruck in the competition fantasy-wise. Got around the ground and was competing against probably the other in-form ruck in the competition in Sean Darcy. And Rowan Marshall, didn't watch a heap of this game, but probably not an ideal matchup against Carlton when Carlton just have the footy most of the time and are chipping it around. Marshall can't really get involved. He'll be looking forward to hopefully a little bit more of a slower game style. Maybe a wet weather game would suit him, or a bigger ground where he can roam and get involved with those marks. Taranto had a huge game against Melbourne, who were giving up lots of points to midfielders, particularly his marks getting on the outside. Tackles, sorry. He had a big tackling game. Hopper, surprisingly, had a big marking game, and he's shown a few more signs. He's not in my team, but he's shown more of an outside game than probably a lot of people were expecting coming over from GWS. And Rosie, another huge performance, albeit against West Coast too, are not going great at the moment, and he comes up against St Kilda this week, who are giving up heaps of points, so he could be a really good VC or captaincy option. Zeeble held his role in the team with Hall coming back in. Hall scored 83, and Zeeble still looks locked into that backline. I think potentially Clarkson likes his ability to actually impact in the air. So I think he'll hold that position even over Hall if push comes to shove. And Sheasel, I thought maybe Hall impacted him, but had someone comment say that he was actually getting quite a hard tag from Nick Holman. So we'll hold on to him. And same commenter actually really helpful, saying that he plays St Kilda in 2 weeks. So that could be a really good matchup. I'll hold the faith. Horne-Francis has been super disappointing. Apart from the round 1 game, he hasn't scored above 70, and this was his lowest score of the year. So he's one that I'm actually looking to downgrade him straight to a rookie, and just put Pedler on field or Fergus Green on field, because he's averaging 60, so he's scoring as a rookie anyway, and he's just too expensive. So I could do that, and then next week have the cash from that. And then Dunkley continues to be disappointing, but as I've said every single time, it's just not worth training him out at this point, because he's probably going to be a top 6 forward, and has the potential to really hurt you if his form is reversed. Green and Pedler, 2 strong scores to get their cash generation going. Van Rooyen saved his score with 3 goals in the last quarter. And that is it. So as far as trades for this week, generally what I'm thinking is potentially I could go McGrath and Horne-Francis to a rookie and Clayton Oliver. That's one very, very tempting option. The other one would be Horne-Francis down to a rookie and Matt Roberts to a rookie, which is probably the more textbook trade. Matt Roberts not going to be playing and will just be taking up a valuable position in the team if I don't trade him out. But, the temptation to bring in Oliver after a couple of down-ish games, even though his down games are still hundreds, is very, very tempting, particularly looking at his run over the next 3 weeks. He's got North Melbourne, Gold Coast and Hawthorn, and could put up 140s, 150s in that time, which would be really good as a captain option. That's what I'm thinking at the moment, and I'll upload my trades once I get more settled on them. But being a Tuesday, we've got footy coming around very shortly on Friday. Hope everyone had a good weekend with their fantasy, and I'll see you next time.